Yes,
for
he
sure.
did. He's asking more of a lot of guys, obviously, and that has to happen when you lose a Mitch Marner, right? Like you're
Yeah.
not. Everyone needs to pull up their weight a little bit in order to even it all out. And the one guy specifically that was talked about today that he kind of pointed at, who he had a tough conversation with, that needs to have a big bounce back season, was Morgan Riley. Let's come back and talk about that conversation because they both spoke about it today at Media Day. So have that discussion. Where's Austin Matthews at health wise coming into the season? And what did Craig Berube have to say about what went down today? So all that more coming up later on the Locked On Leafs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL is here, and FanDuel is making sure that you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love using FanDuel. Allows you to bet on player props, same-game parlays, futures bets, live bets. It's got it all. It makes every game more exciting, whether you're watching your favorite team or you're just keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup. It's quick, it's easy, it's the best way to add a little bit more energy to those Sundays. So you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. Welcome back into the Locked On Leafs podcast. Mike DeStefano, Dave Morsuti with you as we are each and every weekday, Monday through Friday on the Locked On Leafs podcast, available wherever you get a podcast. It's all Leafs all the time. So if you want to be locked into what's happening on a daily basis in Leaf land, you're a part of Leafs Nation, got to be locked in to the Locked On Leafs podcast. Again, available wherever you get a podcast and also on YouTube. There was quite the conversation apparently that was had between Brad Treliving and Morgan Riley last offseason. And obviously, Morgan Riley saw a dip in his play last year. There was a noticeable decline, and it wasn't just the fan base and us that noticed it. Obviously, Brad Treliving, Craig Berube, and Morgan Riley himself realized it as well. What kind of stood out to you about the conversation surrounding that discussion that Brad Treliving and Morgan Riley had? What did you take away from what they had to say about it?
Well, just the flat out that there was a conversation that what the level that Morgan Riley was playing is not the level he's capable of, and he needs to get back to that level. It's sometimes those are the difficult conversations, but guess what? That's what Brad Treliving gets paid the big money to have, right? With all these players signed, when you have a Morgan Riley being paid what he's being paid, you can't accept anything less than what he's being paid for, right? Like, it's just, and we talked about it so much that maybe it was a lack of of a fit with Craig Berube, but clearly maybe that's it seems like that's not really what they believe. They just believe that Riley just didn't play to his standard. And look, he came into camp, I think it was 6 pounds lighter.
Yep.
Came in. Yep. We've heard from Nicolas Waugh saying he's in incredible shape. Clear, and Treliving said he took it to heart what he had to say. Like, he didn't, Treliving didn't go to him and say, "Look, you need to be better," and Riley didn't go, "Oh, like how could you say that to me? Maybe I need to get and find and move on and get another a better situation for myself." No, he took it hard. Said, "Okay, I need to be better. I need to go out and do it." And we'll see if what was said will lead to it on the ice.
And honestly, I'm excited to see if he can bounce back, because if he can, the Maple Leafs are in a pretty good spot. And he lost 6 pounds, a little leaner. He said that he's in the best shape of his life, right? We've heard that lots around this time of year. But he said he had a great chat, and Brad Treliving came out and said that he was in the facility about a week after the season ended. He was in the facility pretty well almost every day, getting ready, training, putting in the work in the off season to get him to, quote, back to the capabilities of what he can play, being a big time puck moving defenseman who could skate. I wonder too now, with Morgan Riley gone, or with Mitch Marner gone, does that open up the spot for Riley to go back to the first power play? Because he also mentioned, they had asked him, well, what do you need to do to be better? And he said, well, I got to make sure that I'm skating well, but I also got to make sure that I'm shooting the puck, which I thought was interesting. So he needs to be more dangerous when he shoots the puck. And how many times on the power play have we sat there and yelled at Morgan Riley to shoot the puck? So I wonder if that's something that he, really did take to heart, where he's like, okay, if I'm going to do what I have to do for this team, what they ask of me, part of that has to be success on the power play. And that I have to be a threat in order for me to be as dangerous as I can on the power play, to make Austin better, to make Willie better, to make John, to make whoever's going to be on the top power play. If he can establish himself as a dangerous shooter, all of a sudden that opens up a little bit more space for the rest of the guys out there. So I do wonder, and it was that one comment specifically that made me think that Morgan Riley, I think they're going to challenge him and put him back on the top power play unit and challenge him to shoot more.
And we know he can shoot. This is the part that's always frustrated people, is we've seen Morgan Riley when the puck's on his stick, he can rip it. But there's something about, when you're on a power play with all those skilled players, you're less likely to, want to be selfish and shoot. Mm-hmm. Or if you do shoot, it's not exactly doing much. So I'm hoping that that's something he worked on this offseason, is his shot, because that power play, we always talked about how predictable it got. All right, they're going to try to feed it to Austin Matthews. All right, they're going to try to feed it to William Nylander. Mitch Marner's going to dance around with it and try to make something out of nothing. We never talked about Morgan Riley, right? Even the last few years, it wasn't really talked about as like he can do damage on the power play. Like, we know he is the quarterback for it, but we never talked about, his shot's going to be making things so difficult for the opponent.
No,
he's not being paid all that money to not shoot, to not be an offensive contributor on this team. And I think,
especially since he is an offensive defenseman at that, because he's not being paid to be a shutdown defender. He's being paid to impact the game in other ways offensively. And as a defenseman, you better be able to do that on the power play as well. So that's something that I'll be curious to see what the power play looks like when they get on the ice today. Is Morgan Riley back on PP1 with kind of an opening now that Mitch Marner is no longer on the team to operate from the point? Do they go back to Morgan Riley? Will they maybe keep it as a 5-man unit and have someone else play that role? Perhaps. Maybe OEL gets the opportunity, but